Hey, welcome back to Australian Computer Music Education and Board Ravers. We're just doing a short presentation today in relation to kind of what I'm calling Step 2. The first podcast was all about your setup, so what you needed for your hardware and just sort of bare minimum specs with your software. And what we're going to talk about today is essentially what I'm going to call about, look, it's very simple. It's knowing what you want to do. If you know what you want to do in relation to what sort of music you want to make, and you can be very specific about it, like this genre, at this tempo, in this key signature, and a song that goes for this long, then you're going to be able to meet your goal much faster. And for people that are just kind of starting, I think, like, my best advice anyway is to make these things a part of your briefing. So before you even open your sequencer, know that, okay, so maybe in this example, like I write a lot of psychedelic trance music and psychedelic break music and break beats, chill music. I do a lot of chill music and melodic stuff. And all these genres, they've all got completely different sort of formulas to them. And a big part of any musical formula is the absolute basics, in particular your tempo and your key signature. Like, knowing what scale you're in means you know what notes not to play. And I guess knowing that is going to empower you further into knowing what you should be focusing your attention to. And in particular, those that aren't great musicians. I'm not an incredible musician, to be honest. Like, I still struggle with some playing modalities. I still struggle sometimes with some key signatures, particularly the quite, the lesser known ones and the lesser used ones. And sometimes I struggle because I'm caught in between sound design and actual production of a song. And that's a real doozy of a place to be caught, because generally speaking, when I'm doing something to the best of my ability, I'm either doing one or the other. I generally don't get into deep sound design whilst I'm writing a track. Whilst I'm writing a track, I like to sort of move from A to B in a pretty fast way, and A may be an absolute blank slate when it comes to your recording space, so complete silence, to what I'd call probably, let's call it step C. If you imagine step A is choosing your band, so what sort of sounds are you going to have? Let's just say it's a 5-track recording. You've got a sort of drums, you've got a bass line, you've got a rhythm synthesizer, you've got a lead synthesizer, and then perhaps a vocal on top of that. And let's just say you're making pop music at 130 BPM in the key of A major. If you know those, they're the 5 sort of, band members per se that you're going to have in the band, or 5 instruments that you're going to be writing for, and you know what style of music you're going to do, maybe you've already got some lyrics done. That's great. So you can sort of utilize those in the context of track 5 here with your vocalist. Knowing exactly what you want to do and executing it is sort of the kind of part and parcel in each other, really. I mean, you can just sort of write as you go, and many people do. In fact, don't take this as sort of information to the contrary, where I'm not saying you can't sort of sound design and write at the same time, but if you're trying to play and you're also trying to sound design, you've got things in your way. And I think it's a really good idea to have your user library and all your own presets, sounds that you've designed in other sessions, all ready at your fingertips to go. So when you do decide to actually go ahead and start recording your music, you're not sort of wondering, am I going to use this sound or that sound or tweak that one? They're so quick to bring into your project that you're not left fumbling with all sorts of sound design hopes and, I guess the complexities of having, a million options at your fingertips. You want to be able to consolidate all your options into one thing, just kind of like the reverb you use, for example. And I'll talk a little bit more about this when I do my next presentation. But like, I'm trying to keep these really short and sweet and to the point, so you guys as viewers aren't, I guess, stuck in this hodgepodge of my ideas and my presentation the way I do things. But I think it's really important that if you know exactly what you want to do, you will do it. You will execute it much faster than just sort of finding any old beat at any old tempo and not knowing what the first button you press, not caring what key it's in or anything like that. I think you're going to find yourself stuck much faster, and I don't want you to be stuck, because I got stuck for a long time, and I got stuck because I didn't care about scales. That for me was my biggest problem, and I think Ableton Push really helped me along there. If you don't know what Ableton Push is, I won't go into it now, but look, I want to keep this super short, so like, just know that, guys. Know that, like, you got to know what tempo you're going to be at, what key and scale that you're going to use, what style of music that you're going to make, and be very specific. Maybe even have a guide track. Try and keep the song's initial production down to about 5 tracks, where you may have drums, bass, a rhythm synthesizer, a lead synthesizer, and then imagine a vocal over the top. I also would probably include there what I'm going to call tech and effects. So that's like all your whoosh sounds, your sort of, you know, build up sounds and sirens and all that sort of stuff. But if you keep it to those 5 or 6 individual instruments or instrumentations, then I think you'll move towards a faster finished song, and certainly an arrangement, than if you just sort of kind of juggle those all randomly. But look, there's about 7 minutes of there for you guys to unpack. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.